Hey everybody, it's time once again for my Let's Vote series to come back. It is voting for the November 7th election 2023, which is mostly local stuff, right? Because you should vote in everything. And this time around, I get these stickers. One says, I voted, and one says, Yo vote. And those are nice stickers that I will add to my sticker collection. You guys who have been following this Let's Vote series know that I have quite the collection now. All right, so first thing on my ballot is for City Council, and for this I went to Colorado Community Media and I looked up uh, this Q&A with all the city council members, and I thought at first that I would be able to tell who I should vote for based on who decided not to answer questions from Colorado Community Media, because I'm one of those people who likes independent journalism and lefty journalism and actually publicly funded journalism, all of those things. I love those things. And if somebody decided not to be a part of that, then maybe that's an indicator that I shouldn't vote for them. But it wasn't so simple because I actually read all their answers, and there actually were people who participated who I would not want to vote for. And what it came down to was I voted for three people who were nicer to homeless people than the rest of the people who answered questions. I didn't vote for anyone who did not answer questions of this website, but of the people I did, they were the people who don't want to criminalize homelessness so much as they have answers for how to deal with homelessness uh, that are alternative to just like crack down, arrest them all, make them trespassers, yarr. So that was easy enough. Out of the 10 people, I found my three to vote for. And then there was another three to vote for out of six for the school board for the city. And so I chose out of the three, there were it was basically like three people on one side, three people on another, and for three of them, they think that the biggest problem with schools is we need to change the way that we test for competency, and then the other three thought that the problem with our schools is that uh, we don't pay our teachers enough and we need to pay attention to whether or not schools are being acceptably funded and accurately funded. And so those are the people that I thought had the answer to what is ailing our schools. I am not going to teach schools for poverty wages, and I think that a whole bunch of good teachers probably left the field and are not going to teach in those public schools because we're not paying them enough. And so I think it makes sense. So I voted for those three. Um, Also, the of the three that were more about the standards of the schools and wanting to change it up, one of them said that he was a man of faith, and that is something that tipped me off to maybe his wanting to change the curriculum and the standards might have been a part of him wanting to put his faith-based beliefs into the school system, which I would oppose. So, on to the state ballot measures. The first one is Proposition HH. And Proposition HH is about do we want to reduce property tax and spend part of this state surplus that we have to fund school districts. And this is, again, back to the question of Tabor and how to deal with it. Because if you've been following my Let's Votes for the many years that I have been doing them, uh, basically in Colorado, we have a law that says that we can't raise more money than we thought we would, and we can't spend the over amount of taxes that we get. It has to go back to the people unless the people vote to say, yes, you can spend that overage. And so this is kind of uh, a concession. It's like a 50-50 between left and right on this, because it's only going to spend some of the surplus on funding schools, and then it's going to lower taxes with the other part of the surplus, which is, win-win as far as politically. But it's the Democrats who are in favor of this uh, proposition, and the Republicans who are against it. If you look it up on Ballotpedia, which I did. Next is Proposition II, written with two I's in capitals that makes it look like a two, but it's following Proposition HH. So alphabetically, it's Proposition II. And it's about without raising taxes, shall we retain and spend revenues on that were gotten from cigarette tax and taxing tobacco and nicotine and whatnot. And can we use those also to spend $23,650,000 to fund the voluntary Colorado preschool program? Well, you guys know that I am an addiction counselor in the state, and I'm all about taxing all the vices rather than the staple goods that people might have to buy to live, like, food and, you know, things like the gas that you need to get to work, all that stuff. Let's not tax that as much as we tax the vices that people don't need to be having. And so anything that has to do with spending taxes on uh, cigarettes and or pot, I'm all for us spending the money that we've already collected based on not knowing that we were going to collect that much money. So I voted yes on that. Next was a city ordinance for shall we have less at-large city council people and have a look at whether we can have geographic wards rather than at-large people. I think that would have better representation of the people rather than the more affluent areas of the city being able to snatch up the at-large people that are on the city council. So I'm all for that. And next one is giving the city manager budgetary control from the departmental budget level and raising it to the fund level so that they can see all of the different expenditures and allow for more effective financial management. And I am for that. I voted yes. Next one is simply changing this report about city expenditures from ending on September 1st to ending on July 31st, which would bring us online with other cities and make it easier to compare expenditures. And I said, well, okay, yes, I don't know that it's going to make anything simpler, but apparently some people think that it will. So yeah, whatever. I'm for easy to read expenditure reports from the city. Next is, shall the city manager be given the ability to designate an individual to certify an appropriation has been made before a contract, agreement, or purchase order is executed? And I voted no against that. because it looks to me like another way of adding unnecessary red tape to the procedure of executing business that needs to be done by adding this extra step, uh, even if there were not a specific appropriation for something in some sort of law or bill or referendum, uh, even if there were, like something that we all voted on, this guy could say, "Oh no, there actually wasn't," and then it would take time to make the case, and it would create like lawsuits about like, yes, there is this appropriation. It's it maybe isn't worded exactly the way that you said, but like our kids need pencils, and the school needs paper, and the fire department needs uniforms. These are all things that are understood, except there's people who don't want the government to be able to spend any money whatsoever, and they kind of find their way into every level of government to throw a spanner into the works as much as they can. And so I'm voting against that, because if one such person did get that job, rather than doing what the law said, just to make sure that there's an appropriation for things, uh, to make sure that we're doing things right. If they were to go against what the actual intent of what that was, that would be a horrible position to have somebody who is like radically libertarian in, because they would want to not spend any money, and they would just create paper red tape to keep every red cent from being spent, because I don't think it's actually appropriated for it in our existing laws. So fuck no, no, no. I know the people of my community, and I believe in that level of fucktardedness existing in Colorado. Yes, it does. So the last one is, um, shall we allow the city to uh, just post notices on its own website, instead of having this requirement for posting notices for certain things in the newspaper? And I am actually for that, because I think it would make finding these notices a lot easier. And who the hell reads the newspaper? And actually putting it in the newspaper uh, could actually make it harder to find, because nobody reads the newspaper, and the newspapers can be behind paywalls online, and I'd rather see the information just be put out for free on the city's website. Uh, so I voted for that. And that is all of the voting for uh, November 7th, 2023. There's another election that happens in the summer for my area in 2024, and then there's the presidential election coming up in November of 2024. So you will see one more Let's Vote before the 2024 presidential election, and I will probably talk about a lot of the candidates for all sorts of seats that will be on that ballot before then, because you'll all go on this adventure with me. It's this never-ending adventure of democracy. All right, so take care, stay safe.